In this video, I will show you how to create different types of groups using the Operations console. Groups are used for a number of reasons in Ops Manager. They can be used for applying overrides, scoping the console, and for applying security privileges. They can also be used simply for logically grouping objects of interest. Unlike MOM 2005, groups are no longer used to distribute rules to computers. I'm going to create two different types of group. First of all, I'm going to create a group with static membership that contains a number of databases I consider to be mission critical. I will manually add some databases that have already been discovered by the SQL Management Pack. To author a new group, I need to move to the authoring space in the Operations console. I then select the Groups view. You can see that there are a lot of groups already present. These are defined in the management packs that I have already imported to Ops Manager. From the Actions pane, I click the link to create a new group. I enter a name for the group, and I choose the management pack to save the new group in. Now I want to add some databases to this group, so I click the Add Remove Objects button on the Explicit Group Members page. I'm not sure of the version of SQL these databases are running under, so I choose the SQL database type, which will show me all SQL databases regardless of version. I could filter the list by entering part of the name if I wanted to. Let me just look for all the databases. Now I pick the databases that I'm interested in and I add them. These databases are the only objects I want in the group, so I move through the rest of the wizard and create the group. It will take a minute or two for the membership of the group to be updated, so while that happens, I will create a slightly different type of group. This time I will use a dynamic inclusion rule to populate the group. The membership of this group will continue to be updated as I monitor more computers. I launch the group wizard as before, and enter a name for the group. I am not going to add any explicit members this time. Instead, I add a new rule on the Dynamic Rules page. I want to add all databases with the name master or tempdb. So I select the SQL database type and add this to my formula builder. Now I enter the criteria for the name. I'm going to use a simple regular expression for this. I could continue to add more complex criteria if I needed to. So I have my dynamic rule set, and I move to the end of the wizard and click Create. Let's go and look at the membership of the first group that I created. I can use the Find feature here to help me quickly locate the groups that I created. Now I can right-click and view the group members. I see the three databases that I selected have been successfully added. Now let's go to the second group I created and look at the membership. You can see all master and tempdb databases that I am monitoring have been added. Now let me show you a few places where you may use groups that you create. First of all, I can use a group when applying an override. Let me bring up the Health Explorer for a database. Now, suppose I wanted to override the free space threshold for a group of databases. I select the monitor, choose to override it for a group, and I pick the group that I created. I could now enter the value I wanted for this particular override. Now let's look at scoping. In my database state view, I'm currently viewing all the databases that have been discovered in my environment. I can click the Scope button on the toolbar and choose the group I created with my master and temp DBs in. I now only see the members of my group. You can also use groups when you create a new user role to limit the objects that users will see in the console. Groups can be as simple or as complex as you want to make them. Many management packs from Microsoft contain groups that may be useful to you out of the box, but the real power comes when you create your own dynamic or static groups.